Have you ever wondered why some people have one abusive ex and then others have 3, 4, 5, if not more than that? As somebody who has had multiple abusive partners, I can tell you 100% you feel stupid admitting that you have multiple abusive ex-partners. I feel like you have this feeling, or at least this is how it was for me, where nobody's going to believe you that it happened multiple times, but it did, right? Like, I personally had 2 exes try to end my life. 2. And both of them were people that I was trying to fix. Both of them, I stayed in the relationship way too long trying to make it work, right? Like, I was being verbally, mentally, emotionally, and physically abused in these relationships, but I wouldn't leave. I know you, just as much as me, get sick of the whole, well, what did you do to deserve it? It takes 2 people to fight. Women are just as much at fault as men, right? Today I want to talk about why it is so common to have multiple abusive ex-partners and how you can break that cycle so that your next partner maybe isn't abusive, okay? I have a lot to talk about. I do want to give a trigger warning. We are talking about domestic violence. If that's a touchy subject for you, please do not watch this video. Maybe you go check out something else. If you're experiencing intimate partner violence, domestic violence, or if you just feel stuck and you don't know how to leave, I'm going to link some resources down below that can help you out. I know it's scary to leave. I know it's hard to leave. Sometimes it takes years. The average is 7 times of attempting to leave to finally leave. So with that being said, just know you're not alone. There are resources. There are people who care out there, right? Like, that's what I do career-wise, is I am a domestic violence advocate. I'm also a survivor myself. So I 100% am in your corner, and you got to get out of that situation, right? I really want to help you. So with that being said, let's get into it. First of all, why do we attract these partners in the first place? 99% of the time, you attract toxic partners based off of a wound that you have, if not 100% of the time. If you have a wound, which starts in childhood, right? Like, that's where all of our shit stems from. But what I've learned through my research since leaving my abusive partners, if you had a parent who didn't fulfill certain needs, you could have the world's best parent, right? But most of us who attract toxic partners didn't. I'm just saying. But if you had a parent who didn't fulfill a certain need, so if you had a mother who was very emotionally not there for you, or if you had a father who left at a young age, or was in and out, or went to jail a lot, or had a drinking problem, whatever it may be, that leaves you with wounds and unmet emotional needs as a child. And you carry those with you to adulthood. Now you have this loop in your head, and your inner child, who drives 90% of your life, your inner child is where you learn what's normal. I don't want to go on too big of a side tangent here, but in the first 5 to 7 years of your life, your brain is absorbing everything around you from, like, your parents and how they interact with each other, how they interact with you, how they treat you, what you see on the street, right? Everything that you are absorbing, your brain's like a sponge, and you are absorbing everything, learning what's normal, what does love feel like, what does safety feel like. So when you learn these things in childhood, you bring them through as your belief system in adulthood. So that's why I say, when you heal your inner child, you really do change your life. You have to rewire those belief systems that you have ingrained in you and learned, and that's called early childhood conditioning, right? We're taught to believe certain things. If you grew up experiencing any of those things with your parents that I just talked about, you're going to grow up, and that's going to be something very normal to not only you, but to your nervous system. Another side part to this that I want to talk about briefly, a lot of the times when you have one of those unmet needs, you're subconsciously going to seek out partners similar to that parent so that your inner child can finally get what they need. And the way that you're going to do that is you're going to try to fix them without intentionally. You can all day, like for me, I never intentionally went into these relationships saying, oh, I'm going to fix this person, right? But it becomes a subconscious thing, and it's a lot easier to focus on somebody else's wounds and somebody else's traumas and somebody else's than it is to face our own, right? So when you find a partner who resembles your absent father, I'm speaking from my own personal experience here. He had a drinking problem, like your father did as a kid. So then you subconsciously attract these toxic people into your life with the not intentional but intentional thought to try to fix them so that you can give your inner child the childhood that you never got to have. I'll speak on my own for just a second. My dad was an alcoholic. My dad killed someone drunk driving when I was 5 years old. My dad went to prison for 7 years. My dad got out and still continued to drink. Talk about daddy issues, right? Never intentionally, but now looking back, it's very obvious that I attracted people like my father. All my exes are like my father. So my subconscious was trying to close that loop from childhood by trying to fix these men. We all have free will. We are all human beings. You are not going to fix somebody else. Okay? I don't care what potential you see in this person. If you see potential, run. If you're not comfortable with how they are right now, if you would not stay with them how they are right now, if they're still like this in 10 years, then you need to go, because otherwise you're subconsciously trying to fix this person. You see what they could be, not who they actually are. Fall in love with who they actually are. And not the whole like, oh, well, he's got good traits too. He's really a good person. He's just been through a lot. I said all of those things, and then my ex tried to murder me, okay? So we're not doing that anymore. When it comes to dating as an adult, when you're trying to close that loop, eventually you're gonna find that it's not gonna happen. Sometimes it's a couple months of a relationship, sometimes it's a couple years of a relationship, right? Then something happens where you break up. Maybe you finally get fed up and leave, maybe they leave you, maybe it's a near-death experience and you're forced to break up. Don't know who that would be. But then you're single again, right? And you're like, I'm never gonna date somebody like that ever again. And then you date somebody else. And at first they seem great. At first they seem perfect. At first you see past all the red flags. And maybe you're subconsciously justifying them. But either way, you see past the red flags and you get into another relationship. And then you're like, this person's just like the last one. Or maybe they have other toxic traits, but they're still toxic, right? That's because you didn't heal that inner wound. And you're going back to what feels familiar to your nervous system from childhood. So that's why inner child healing is so important. You cannot just go through life saying, yeah, I had a shitty childhood, but it is what it is and I'm just strong now. No, you need to heal your shit, because otherwise it affects the rest of your life, especially when it comes to dating and relationships. That's why the rate of re-victimization is so high, is because people think that falling in love is just going to fix everything, and that you just need to find the right person. And while I do agree you need to find somebody who is right for you, you cannot love your way through wounds. That's not how that works. You need to love yourself, of course, but like, you cannot just jump from partner to partner and hope to find somebody that's perfect. When you heal what's going on inside, that's when you're able to attract the person that you want. And that's on quantum physics. We all learned at a very young age that everything is made up of little atoms vibrating. If you're vibrating at the frequency of lack, of insecurity, and I'll try and insert a picture of like the frequency graph or whatever, but if you're vibrating at this frequency, right, attracting these types of things, what you're radiating out comes back to you like a magnet. So if you're at like a insecure, sad, depressed, anxious, lonely, I don't know, those types of things, if that's the energy you're getting out, you are going to attract things that are at the same frequency. Maybe not those exact things, or maybe it is people with those exact traits, but something that aligns with that in life, right? So if you're vibrating at a frequency that's, all of those negative things, you cannot expect to attract somebody who is full of love and passion and romance and treats you right, because it's like fitting a square into a circle, right? Like, it's not going to work. My dog is going like ape. Also agrees. So if you haven't gathered by now, the way to heal this is inner child work, and stop rushing relationships. That was my thing, is I jumped from relationship to relationship thinking somebody was going to be Mr. Right, but I was never going to find Mr. Right until I fixed what's inside. And I know personally, I know the type of man that I want to be with in the long run, eventually, someday maybe. And, I know the type of person that I want to be with at the end of the day. Maybe, if I ever decide to like start dating again, because I'm exhausted with it at this point. But I know that I want this person to be emotionally secure. I want them to work on themselves. Self-improvement is huge to me. So like, I want somebody who is constantly evolving. I want somebody who's financially responsible and stable. I would love if somebody was an entrepreneur, but that's not necessarily needed. But anyway, I have this list of things, right? But the things that I'm desiring in another person are really the things that I'm desiring in myself. the things that I want of myself. So I become those things, and then I attract, all of a sudden, the types of people who are starting to slide into my DMs are the same people, or people who are into the same things and have the same energy, right? And it's like, I don't think that is an accident. I know now it's like I see certain things and it's like, okay, that's a red flag. I'm staying away from you. Or like if somebody does like certain things that I don't accept, I know to walk away, and I'm not going to sit here and beg for your love, beg for your attention, think I can fix you, think I can love you enough for you to change. We don't do that, okay? You are worth so much more than that. You know what you bring to the table. I know you know what you bring to the table. You bring way more than desperation, sadness, and loneliness. And that energy that you're giving off when you're acting that way, you're just going to attract somebody like that back, and like not in the way that you want. Not the like I want you so much that you want me type of way, but like when you're acting out of those wounds, you're going to attract people who are going to make those wounds way worse. Okay? So I know it sucks to look at your trauma. I know it sucks to look at your childhood sometimes, because like, let's be real, none of us really want to do that. In order to progress in life, not just in relationships, but in life, to become this higher version of yourself who has a great love life, who has a great financial life, who is healthy and abundant and happy, you need to heal the wounds inside, because they will rot you from the inside out if you don't. And how can you expect to attract those amazing things into your life if you have all of these horrible wounds that are secretly inside? No matter how deep you bury them, they will always resurface. So working on yourself is the best thing you can do. Developing healthy habits is amazing for you. It's amazing for your mind and your body. And the healthier that you are on the inside and the healthier habits that you create, the more that you're going to be able to put energy into that future version of you, right? Like if you're not happy at your job, okay, what are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? Are you going to sit here and wait until something good comes along? Because that's not how that works either. Same thing with attracting love, is attracting opportunities and things like that. The universe will reward you, but only for your effort. So if you're putting effort forward, doors will open for you. But you have to be the one to create that inertia to get things moving. The more that you continue to hop from toxic relationship to toxic relationship, even if these partners are very different in the way that they mistreat you, those things all become normal to your nervous system. So if it was already normal to your nervous system as a kid, and then you get into these relationships and it's just reiterating like, yes, you deserve to be mistreated. Yes, you deserve to be mistreated. That's what the story in your mind is. And your mind is what creates your reality. So if you're constantly being mistreated by people and you're accepting that, yep, that's what I deserve, what do you think you're going to be able to attract into your life? How are you going to change things? You can't keep going like that. You're not going to attract anything good into your life by living like that. Another side note, 24 to 50% of victims experience re-victimization at least once. That is absurdly high. I think it takes people understand, at least for me, like I need to understand something in order to process and move forward. So I think people need to understand why they're attracting these people. Not just, oh, I only date toxic men. No, honey, that's a wound attracting these toxic men to you, and you're settling, and you're trying to fix people. Fix yourself. Fix yourself to fix your life. So just remember, no matter how bad you want a healthy love life, no matter how bad you want good financial habits, no matter how bad you want this good life, wanting is not enough. Wanting honestly does the opposite. If you want something, if you say, oh, I want more money, the universe hears wanting more money. It will give you more reasons to want more money, i.e. debt, bills, car expenses, etc. You can't want your way to anything. You need to put in the effort, show the universe who you are. Who do you identify as? Do you identify as this broken person who nobody loves? If that's the story you're telling yourself, that's the story that's going to keep playing throughout your life. You need to change how you identify. That identity shift is going to be the thing that changes your whole life. That is a huge way to create the momentum to move forward in the totally opposite direction of where you've been living. And I speak from experience. All of these things are from experience. I am teaching you what I learned through. I just realized I never introduced myself. Hey, I'm Kinsey. Nice to see you. If you're new here, subscribe, stick around. Like, I'd love to have you. Other than that, I think that's all I have for you today. If any of this resonated with you, subscribe, stick around. I would love to have you along on this journey. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm enjoying it, so we're gonna keep going. I will link some resources down below if you need some help leaving a domestic violence situation. I know it can be hard, scary. You can be financially dependent on this person, emotionally dependent. Isolation is a huge thing in abusive relationships. I know that's what kept me for so long, was like, oh my God, I can't, I'm literally financially dependent on this person. And that kept me in a relationship for longer than I should have been. I will put some resources down below. I will also link my workbook from Amazon. It is Finding Yourself Again After a Toxic Relationship. That could be a relationship with your job, friends, coworkers, or intimate partner, parents, anything. This workbook is really good for that. It's a lot of shadow work. So highly recommend, not just because I wrote it, but because it is actually pretty cool. So I'll link that down below as well. Other than that, I will see you in the next one. Bye.